It took 4 decades worth of concert going before it finally happened. I caught my first guitar pick. Rock and roll god Steve Miller tossed it from stage to me after his signature song, The Joker. You know, I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. It helped that I was in the front row, which is where you want to be when a performer pitches a pick. Those flimsy plastic triangles don't travel very far. I can think of no one more deserving than me to catch Steve Miller's pick. No one. The Steve Miller Band was my first favorite band in the 1970s. When I snagged the pick, I couldn't help but believe Steve and I, momentarily at least, were best friends. It was a cosmic connection 40 years in the making with the space cowboy himself. Several days after the concert, I was still bragging about the magical Steve Miller moment with my coworkers and friends. How the white pick fluttered like a slow-motion moth toward my outstretched hands. How its trajectory ended with a soft landing in my upturned palm. How the 10-cent piece of plastic made the $70 concert ticket worth the investment. How I had dreamed of such a moment since attending my first concert at age 18. How, my God, Scott, a friend interrupted during my last play-by-play account, robbing me of my moment. What are you, 17 years old? That's the whole point of the pick. Due to the power of the pick, I did feel 17 again, for a few days at least, until I was humbled at the cinema after requesting a ticket for The Butler. The girl behind the counter, who was 17, asked, yes, she asked, I kid you not, she asked, do you want an adult ticket or a senior ticket? By senior, she did not mean high school senior. I turned my head to see who she was talking to. There was no one else in line. Are you kidding me? I replied. It must have been the ear hairs I forgot to trim. Geez, I'm 48, I said. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know if she meant she was sorry that she had made a mistake, or she felt sorry for me for being 48. I spoke to the manager manning the nearby popcorn machine. Did you hear what she asked me? She asked if I needed the senior discount. It really came as a shock to hear this question directed at me for the first time. The manager merely shrugged, which had the same nonchalant, chilling effect as Tony Soprano looking at you and saying, what are you gonna do? That's my Italian. Fire her, I suggested. Granted, the cashier might not have meant I looked 65, which I believe is the doorstep of senior citizenry, but she obviously thought I looked old enough to be eligible for a senior discount. True, she was only 17, as I once was, daydreaming in math class about catching Steve Miller's guitar pick. I remember how old 48 seemed when I was 17, which explained why she looked at me like I was one of those old people in grocery stores who pull grapes from the stems and chew them in the produce section without even paying. They don't even bother doing this covertly, as if they were actually walking through their own personal vineyard in Napa Valley. Is this an official AARP perk? Do they do this with bananas too? While I haven't pilfered any grocery store grapes yet, there have been some signs of my impending senior status. Several times lately, I've forgotten to zip my pants before going to work, an unsettling discovery during meetings, especially when I am the presenter. I'm cool tonight. I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at, never mind. For the first time, I allowed a bag boy at Holiday Foods to carry my groceries to my car. I used to have to wrestle the damn things from them just to prove I was still living in the age of self-sufficiency. I recently reached the point of being too old and impatient for fast food drive-through service. I succumbed to restaurant rage and become more crotchety at a quicker rate. Case in point. After ordering a plain cheeseburger for my daughter, the pipsqueaky speaker voice replied, "So, you don't want cheese on it?" "No, I do want cheese on it, or else that would be a hamburger," I said. "I wanted a plain cheeseburger." "But you said plain." "I said cheeseburger!" I worried what might actually have been put on that cheeseburger out of spite due to my crankiness. But ultimately, that was my daughter's problem. In hindsight, I should have just asked for a senior ticket at the cinema. It would have saved some time, but I just couldn't. It's the principle of it all. To reinforce that I was only 48, during each of the 3 times I visited the restroom during the butler, darn prostate, I glared at the teen cashier to remind her that I was still young enough to pay full price for a movie. It's my movie going right, top price, baby! To further demonstrate my youthful coolness, I considered pulling the guitar pick out of my pocket and tell her about my Steve Miller story. However, catching a pick thrown by a 70-year-old musician would likely not impress Miss 17-year-old. By the way, Steve Miller's song, "The Joker," turned 40 this year. Hard to believe. Suddenly I have an urge to steal some grapes. By the way, I always